What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, some expectations for today, and just latest in general updates. So I want to go over all the things you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid pre-market is flat, so it's obviously gaining some little bit of attention, but very low volume. So most likely big money is just waiting for the market to open just to obviously buy or sell Lucid. So should be a fairly interesting day. We have the futures down slightly, and I think that's just last minute jitters associated to the Michigan consumer sentiment, and that's coming out at 9 a.m. Over the last 5 occurrences, that's prompted a pullback in the broader market. So just be aware of that on a side note. But there was some pretty kick-ass news that did come out overnight, and that was China thinking about exempting some US goods from their 125% tariff. At the end of the day, this is the first step, tentative step from China towards some sort of negotiation. So we've seen a lot coming from the States, but this is the first time coming from China. So in theory, I think the market, if it wasn't so scared about this upcoming data point, it should and would be up quite a lot. So again, just letting you know about that for some expectations for today. As far as any Fed speakers, nothing is planned or anything like that. Even Lucid, so far no news, no SDC filings, and yeah, I think in general they've gone somewhat radio silent for the most part. There's a couple of things that's been floating around on social media. So latest in updates, you did have this come out yesterday. So Lucid hires former Red Bull Beyond Meat executive as new marketing chief. So when it comes down to this, I'm not really that big of a fan, because I think what Mark stated is that he's going to be really focusing on marketing. But at the end of the day, based on this individual's 2 years at Red Bull, which is whatever, and then obviously being a former CMO at Beyond Meat, for those of you that don't know Beyond Meat, it failed, it flopped hard. So of course, you kind of have to look at a lot of the executives, and clearly I didn't see any marketing. I might not be their target market all exactly, but at the end of the day, I think that Beyond Meat's marketing did lack. So it might not be exactly what Lucid wants for vision-wise. I see a lot of people hyped up about this, and I think I'm still at the stage of show me. So I think Lucid really does need to step stuff up. One thing though that might explain the lackluster ramp up in Gravity is supply chain. So this was posted right here by Shane. It kind of looks as though it's like an email, so you have to take all this with a grain of salt. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there making fake documentation. So for those of you that did buy and order a Gravity, if you've received a similar type of email, let me know in the comments below. But this individual does get this. So it says, dear valued customer, thank you for your Lucid Gravity order. We're thrilled to have you on this journey with us, blah, blah, blah. So it looks as though the tech package that they selected isn't available. So again, more supply chain, and it looks as though they're trying to get them to go to either the lower one kind of package or upgrade to the DE. So not the best. So DE, that obviously shows that it's only some specific supply chain components, not affecting everything, but still DE is probably out of their price range. It's not logically that feasible just to upgrade that extensive just for some tech package. But yeah, as you can even see based on the comments, this is exactly what people what the problem truly is. So yeah, this is pretty much the Air launch all over again. This is exactly what did happen. So yeah, it's rather unfortunate to see all of this happen, but hopefully during their upcoming earnings, they do really state that blah, 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 this is the actual true issue. This is what we're doing to rectify it. Because yeah, this is, on a side note, is exactly what Bank of America did state when they downgraded Lucid. They kind of talked on how they're going to be burning through a lot of cash, supply chain issues. So yeah, it's not the best. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. One thing did happen though from Analysts. So we did recently get a $3 price target from Robert Bard, Ben, who has a 40% success rating, but it looks as though even though they did give a $3 price target, they lowered the revenue, their estimates, because if we look over here, it went from 255.62 million to 249. That's a consensus and obviously an average. So in order for them to lower the actual average by 6 million, give or take, that ultimately, that means they had to have lowered it probably by like 20 million. So even though they did give a good price target, they're not really that bullish on Lucid. That being said, going into Lucid's upcoming earnings with a lower kind of average consensus is kind of a good thing, because it does lower the bar for Lucid, making it potentially easier for them to beat. And this is exactly what did happen in their Q4. A lot of analysts leading into their Q4 earnings, and as well as Q3, were rather bearish, and so they obviously in turn lowered earnings per share and revenue. Lucid came in swinging, said F you, and obviously did an amazing job. So they did far exceed the current estimates. So going into this upcoming earnings will be an interesting one. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. There isn't any change to the Q&A, so the retail pose questions to management. I've already done a video about that. And honestly, I think as of right now, those are going to be the questions that are asked to management. No real change, so not really that good. Shorts aren't doing anything this morning. 23.35% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 283.71 million shares. So they're at back at it, playing their game as what they always do. So yeah, let me know your viewpoint on that. Side note, they did increase roughly around 4.8 million shares. So they definitely are doubling down quite a lot. So as far as that, you can always pop over to my actual account right here on Twitter. I post this after hours all the time. So Lucid did increase, or shorts did increase 4.64 million shares. So they definitely doubled down yesterday playing with it, because even the day prior they did return 780,000. So again, they are very, very active. As far as this, so with today being Friday, this is the open interest. So you do have 20,000 at that 250. So most likely, if Lucid does gain some good momentum today, you will see it suppressed below 250, as market makers and shorts don't want to cover that, right? So at the end of the day, it should be interesting, because side note, if Lucid is able to close above 250 or even at 250, then market makers will have to cover the 20,000 at that 250, potentially causing a bump up on Monday. So let me know thoughts on that. With it at 246, trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 255 is going to be that next strong target / resistance, which could be touched today. You never know. Flip side, 233 is going to be the next strong support. Even worst case scenario with negative Michigan consumer data, I don't see that being touched. So I think it's just a matter of time before Lucid does move higher. It just needs that nice, gentle push from the broader market. But with it at 245 right now, it is exactly on that 50-day moving average, and shorts obviously know that is a big deal for Lucid. So if Lucid is able to close above that, that's going to be a very positive thing going into Monday. So every time typically Lucid closes above that 50-day moving average for 2 consecutive days, this is where you could have a nice push higher. So I think on average it's like 30 to 40% of a run. So let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. Are you buying? Are you selling? Depending on what does happen, I'll do a PM video as well, just in case there is any updates coming from data points or on a macro standpoint. So let me know your thoughts. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some kick-ass buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.